Hello, hello. Can you hear us? Can you see us?
Hello, everyone. Hello, and thank you for joining us today. Our second live conversation around the most exciting community on LinkedIn these days, IX3. Right, Kinga? We're the most
I think
exciting
so, but
community.
we are a little bit biased, though.
Exactly. Just a little bit. But thank you for joining us. Thank you for taking the time. We're here to talk about that. How can LinkedIn help us change the way we see our jobs, the way we see our lives, and especially leaders that are growing in their jobs, that are investing in their careers to make sure that they make the most of their digital presence. With the leadership of Kinga, as you know, is a massive content creator and the leader of our IX3 community, right?
Yes, this is my pleasure to represent IX3 today. As the Chief Content Officer and founder, I think we are partners in crime officially with this initiative.
I can be the Chief Growth Officer, the CGO. I'm very excited to be part of this community, Kinga. I'm a future enthusiast. The extra times I dedicate to the extra projects I take on in my life are always the most exciting ones. I am someone who has always been involved in PR, public affairs, from science to FMCG industries, from startups to multinationals. So I've worked in all scales and at least 6 industries so far.
That's impressive.
Yes, right. Yes. I mean, when I look back, looking through the mirror, I don't know how did I get here so fast. It's been an exciting journey. And now I'm at the stage where I am transitioning from my pure corporate life, 9 to 5 life, to a more portfolio career style of life. I've just started on IX3 with Kinga here, but also have an active role on another startup. I'm currently curating and leading the strategy and communications part. It's a deep tech startup that I'm working on. So yes, I am embracing the portfolio life to the fullest.
And myself as well, walking the talk, because I'm also embracing my portfolio career. And what we brought today for you is some kind of a mindset shaping, snapshot to the future, trying to help you to wrap your heads around about the future of work. Or shall we say that the present of work, because the concepts we are bringing are actually here for decades now. We need to speak about the 9 to 5, or actually what is before and after the 9 to 5, making sure that you are aware of the biggest trends, tendencies, and can hop on the fastest trains out there. But before we jump into, there's a little bit of a gamification here, because of course every good presentation starts with an icebreaker. Do you recognize the gentleman and or the car on the picture itself?
This is a great picture. It does reflect the logic behind this creation, right? All the cars in line, lined up.
Don't be shy.
You can guess this one.
Do you want some hints? It's from the 1920s, and the gentleman is the creator, inventor of the automobile on the left. Do you want more hints? That's the Model T. Who might be on the right? Don't be shy.
Can anyone guess?
Drum rolls, please. Yes, that's Henry Ford. Congratulations. Why do we have this picture here? Because actually we can thank a lot of things to him, not just the Model T, the conveyor belt, but also the 9 to 5. Sad but true that before 1926 and the invention of Henry Ford, workdays were literally endless. So there were no regulations whatsoever, and people were working day and night, including the weekends. It was really dependent on the employers. From 1926, this was the first attempt when they tried to regulate actually the working hours. Before that, it was super hectic. And it was only in 1938 when the US regulation were taking it over. For me, it was super exciting to see that in 1971 they already started to experiment with the 4-day working weeks. What do you think about that, Rui?
I think it's fascinating. We see this picture and it takes us back to more than 1 century ago. And if you think about it, 100 years is a lot, but still the pace of innovation and flexibility, the way we evolved is 100 years. It's crazy, right? It's
fascinating.
It's groundbreaking. From that 5-day, 40-hour schedule back in the 20s to a super flexible portfolio type career that is shaping the world of labor, the world of work. I think this is fascinating.
It's truly fascinating. And speaking of portfolio careers, the word itself was already introduced in 1989.
Wow.
So it's not at all a new concept or a fancy new trend. It was already having some first baby steps that days. And of course, today it was speeded up with all kind of latest happenings around not just the economic, but also the pandemic. It had such a huge effect on everything work related, starting with remote work, moving away from the office workers culture. I think it reshaped the reality as we know. And it might be very funny concept for our children that someone in the past needed to go to the office every single day of the week. It's fascinating to think about how the future of work for our children will look like. Right now, there's already wider governmental trials of this 4-day rollout, so I'm fascinated to see where it will land us and how we can use on a global scale the learnings of these initiatives. So speaking about career paths, which is not at all that linear as we knew it in the past, we can absolutely speak about career portfolios. But what does this word really mean? I was looking after a lot of articles, discussions, podcasts, YouTube videos, and I think the best definition that I found that the career portfolio is something which combines the diverse roles, skills, and experiences, emphasizing adaptability over a single career path. The more I read about it, the more I convinced that there is no single definition out there. Career paths are as unique as our fingerprints, and it's really as unique as the individuals are. What is your ideal career path, Rui, right now or maybe in the future? I'm excited to learn.
Oh, yeah, that's a great question. I don't know if there's an ideal one. It has been changing so fast, also for me, that I can't point at one and say, this will be the one, right? I think we will have to adjust and adapt. As you said, adaptability is key word for me today. It's tough to adapting all the time, to evolve and adapt. It's tough to fly the plane while building it all the time. But I guess that's the secret sauce of today's world. Resilience of being constantly in a process of adaptation, I guess. And fast forward from Henry Ford's world to today. And again, while these methods laid the groundwork, the focus is, I guess, now on working smarter, not just harder as in the early days, using technology, more and more technology, and innovation to take productivity to a different level. That's the big difference when you compare both worlds.
And it's fascinating because research also says that as a person evolves and the needs evolves, the experiences as well, this portfolio career concept can mean very different things along the way. So as your needs are changing, your thinking changing, as your relationship to portfolio careers as well. And with the emerge of AI technology, also the hybrid work policies which are launched at every big companies as we speak, the relationship of people to portfolio careers and careers as such, the work as such is changing so rapidly that even in a decade or so, it will very massively change and we will not recognize work as it today. But why is it important? Why is it such a huge hot topic and also very highly searched keyword on Google engines? Because it's a little bit of a fluid concept and it really blends not just the skills, but also the incomes. We speak about, for example, consultants who are creating online courses and also writing their first books, so starting their author identity. Executives are starting board advisory roles and popping up on industry events, so starting to act as industry speakers, thought leaders. Leaders are also acting as venture investors, so they are trying themselves in very different roles as well. And not to mention that there's a lot of non-profit board opportunities out there, which is especially interesting for the female leadership, having the new regulations across Europe trying to regulate a little bit this 50-50 nature in terms of gender of the board compositions as well. So it's a very diverse, so literally there's no silver bullet there. I was also examining a bunch of leaders out there from Fortune 500 companies as well. And what we really see that keynote speakings, industry leadership, and trying themselves in other roles, future-proofing themselves to all kind of board positions as well, seems to be a very exciting direction for many senior leaders out there. Public speaking, writing books, yes, they're starting to be some kind of a basic benchmark for senior leaders out there. But what is fascinating that, of course, the consultancy roles are changing, board advisory is changing, but with the advancement of tech, the digital products, courses are going to start to be mainstream even in the corporate environment. What's your view about it, Rui?
I think that's a huge picture you just painted. And if I can throw my dart at it, I think the complexity of today is so much that you need to take in. It's many, many layers you need to interpret to be able to just show up. There's this Polish-born philosopher, Bauman, that wrote about the liquid modernity. And I like to think about these days through his lens. I think he was really spot on when he defined how the structures of society have been changed. And I guess what we're seeing in the workplace and in the world of labor today, it's just a catch-up also of those ongoing changes in the social at the broader level. You see the values changing. You see the world where relationships, careers, and values are more flexible, they're more unstable, they're more uncertain, much more liquid, right? Everything is much more liquid. And I guess when we come down to the LinkedIn and what we see on LinkedIn, our friends, our relationships on LinkedIn, and the profiles that we follow, we interact with, we see a lot of these modern thought leaders. And a modern thought leader is exactly what you described, Kinga, is someone who combines different activities, different hobbies, that has the capability and the intelligence to translate hobbies into revenue streams, that does what he likes or what she likes, but also combines work with leisure and, builds the life that he or she wants. I guess that's the definition for me. At least it's an evolving one. It's a dynamic one, so it's not closed and not even theorized in a book so far. But for me, the definition of thought leader today is exactly someone who channels the intelligence to build the life they want and the life that makes you happy, I guess.
But we see more and more, and the corporates are starting to recognize as well, because they are fluffing up a little bit the policies, so making the space for corporate readers to get more and more positions or try themselves in different environments or in different roles. The reality is already that people, especially senior leaders, are taking on more and more roles. Fractional executives, their numbers are rising because simply people don't need full FTAs, or there are startups, pet projects, NGOs, where they don't actually need a full-time resource. There is a huge need to have the strategy, some senior leader who can guide them at the direction, but it's not at all a need anymore to have a permanent position. The gig economy is going to be a huge one already of the labor market in the US. And we speak about the senior leaders, so not hiring a copywriter or a graphic designer. When we speak about also corporate roles, it's a very huge tendency that we cannot avoid anymore. It's not a random pattern in data, it's a permanent thing. And the 14% of senior leaders who are already pursuing multiple income streams is, I think, a very clear eye-opener. And when we try to dig the data and try to understand all the publications, all the studies, that why is it happening? Because probably they are pretty well off with their salaries. So it's not a monetary trigger in the first place to take on extra projects, to take on new roles. We see more and more that corporate is pretty much limiting. You do have your role, you do have your responsibilities, but something is missing. And most of the times they try to somehow, of course, regulate the projects they can do. The learning and development possibilities are also very limited most of the times. So to try to stretch themselves, instead of ditching their old role or skipping corporate for good, they are taking on these extra opportunities. At the beginning of the 90s, there was a very huge resistance from corporate policymakers, CEOs, C-suiters, to allow this, but right now they are more and more allowing to this direction as well. So it's not at all an orthodox direction that senior stakeholders are taking on extra responsibilities. And just to close the line, 37% more people now have portfolio careers than before the pandemic. So it's not just for remote work revolution, it's something that ticked to the market and also revolutionized how we think about work and careers. We also created a gift for you. We put together are all the nice actionable theories out there. We found a dozen ancient wisdoms, formulas to help you to access your own passions as well. The three main concepts that we are covering in this video. The first one is the fun, fulfillment, and freedom concept. The second one is the passion economy. And the third is the ikigai. Let's start with the ikigai to try to somehow capture, encapsulate you what the concept is about. And the reason why we brought these three concepts, because if you are here, you're probably considering your own portfolio career as well. But usually people are a little bit stuck which direction to choose, what are the things they should pursue, or what are the exact fields they should embark on, because you saw that from keynotes through digital products to board memberships. So there's a bunch of opportunities out there, but to be a very sustainable building or sustainable growth, you really need to tap into something which is a passion project. And the Ikigai is doing for you exactly that. It helps you to define what you really truly love, where your passion lies, what are you good at, which is the second circle. Think about overlapping circles. And it also factors what the world truly needs. And the intersection of these are going to give your Ikigai, which will really help you that, okay, you do have huge talents maybe in people development. You might be an excellent coach. And there is a huge need actually for leaders who are sharing knowledge, especially with the younger generation, help to navigate them through all the office politics or trying to help them to define their own personal whys. This is an exercise that we explain in more details in the video. The second one is the passion economy, which is literally the modernized version of Ikigai. Of course, I oversimplify here, but what we speak really about that you need to find what really makes your soul singing. So what are the things that you truly enjoyed in your previous roles, for example? What were the things you were really like effortlessly excelling? And then see that, okay, how can you monetize these? Usually we see a lot of multi-passionate people. So maybe the answer is not only one, but 2-3 directions. And once you are boiling these, when you go through the video or doing the workbook as well, the related free workbook, then it can really help you to synthesize that, okay, that's my path, that's my direction, that's my North Star. You don't need to turn your crocheting hobby to an Etsy. So we were not focusing on those kind of hobbies or those kind of passion points. We were mainly focusing on the white collar type of activities which can really help you to excel as a corporate leader, as a corporate ambassador. And the third concept that we are extensively explaining in the video is the fun, fulfillment, freedom framework, which is basically, again, about the passions, what makes your heart singing, what are the fun activities which gives you joy, which fills you back energy, no matter how much time you spend on these. And this can really help you to avoid burnout, because that's a pandemic, a silent pandemic that we see. And sometimes when we speak about portfolio careers, people only say, okay, I do have a corporate role, and then you want me to do the extra curriculum, then you want me to have an extra project. Yeah, that's going to be a very demanding path, usually with extra hours, but we don't want you to burn out just for the record. That's why we really try to navigate you to a direction that this extra hour, this extra curriculum really fills you up and actually helps you. However, you possibly at the beginning going to work a little bit more, but it fills you up in soul and it gives you extra energy. What's your thinking about it, Rui?
I think this is the framework of the future thinkers, the framework of what you said, the modern thought leaders, people that want to combine pleasure with work, that want to bring together their talents and working capacity that they have to a single purpose of making some money, making some revenue from that, making a good living from their skill set, but also at the same time adjust to the life that they want, that they dream of, doing the things that they like the most. I think this is the most fascinating era, to be honest. In my career, during my career, throughout my whole career, I am asked I'm feeling myself at my best moments right now. But it's also because of this. It's also because of this. I found my Ikigai. It's also because I'm living in 2025, a post-pandemic world that's considerably changed. So these are all the angles of a fascinating era to embrace and to thrive in. And I guess these tools, Kinga, we're providing from the community and these conversations and what we're proposing people to do by leveraging their network, their LinkedIn profile, etc., is exactly a small but very meaningful trigger of that process, I guess.
I'm glad you agree then that that's the direction we should all at least try to pursue. So this is kind of the reality check part of the story, because everyone envisions them as board members or keynote speakers from tomorrow. But the sad reality is that many times it's a lot of time to get there. So should you decide that you would like to, for example, be a fractional executive or board member, you're going to write a book, you want to create a digital product, it's not happening overnight. So you really need to somehow plan this, have this North Star, and do intentional steps, however baby steps as well, to that direction. We were breaking you down some of these portfolio career directions that can help to wrap your heads around that. What does it really take to get there? Because everyone wants to get there, but once they really face with the reality of the time investment or the commitments, because that's hard work, so it's no magic formula. If you want to do it all, you need to do it all, actually need to invest time, capacity, resource there. So for example, you would like to be a corporate influencer. I don't really like the word influencer. Let's make them either ambassadors or creators. What do you think about that?
I think so. I totally agree. Influencer is not.
No,
into-
influencer is not good. So you want to be a corporate ambassador. Okay, what does it take to get there? Because everyone is really confident that, okay, they create some post and then people are going to engage. Well, to get that level of engagement that you and I have, we invested 2 very long years of very hard work with continuous improvement on the content, testing all the new formats, engaging with other creators' content, creating very hard, very rigid habits for ourselves as well. I mean, who the hell wants to wake up every morning to answer comments from 7:30? Normal people are still sleeping that time. So this is kind of the dark side of the portfolio careers, because obviously in the working hours, in the 9 to 5, the traditional 9 to 5, you are doing your day job. So either before, after lunchtime. So it's really need to be a balanced act. And many times it is just what it is, but you see the mundane to put the reps in to invest that extra capacity. So make no mistakes, you can absolutely get there, but it is a very hard work and self-discipline that you need to post 2-3 times a week based on given strategy and have this 2-hourly engagement when you already have your post up there, to make sure that you can get to this 10k followers in a 1.5 year time frame. Writing a book, that's super sexy. Everyone wants to be a book author. You see many C-suiters publishing their books, they are road showing, they are doing the miniature tours. So creating a proper book, which is really creating value, useful, actionable, usually takes 6 to 12 months. And when it comes to the hourly commitments, just an average book, so not a Tolkien novel, starts from a 400-600 hours of time investment. So when people face with it, of course they are cutting down and make it as an article for Forbes or Harvard Business Review. Go talk to those guys and create an article. It absolutely worth the effort. We just really wanted to give you a reality check here that what is the time investment, so you don't have false expectations. Creating a digital or virtual product, that's also very common even with corporate leaders, CEO, C-suite level leaders. Well, that's again 3 to 6 months from starting with the ideation, testing it with people, creating the content, gathering the feedback, reworking the materials. So it's another 150-300 hours. Of course, you can hire a team, so you can outsource a little bit the video creation, the video editing if you're lucky, but you still need to be involved because you own the knowledge, you own the strategy, and you are making the amends to make it as better as possible for your audience. Public speaking and keynotes. Yeah, you see the people marching in the stage, having a marvelous speech, people are clapping, so that's the moment in time. But to actually get there, you need to have the same keynote ladder. So start with small audience, start with webinars like this to get the routine, not to be discouraged with technical issues, with all kind of unexpected things. Kids are rushing in because that's gonna happen on the real venue as well. well, waitress are breaking the glasses, you are out of your lines, you forget what comes after. So you really need to get to the habit of being a good presenter who is not discouraged by any change, really, like literally any change, because the show must go on, of course, and to go to a level where you can actually charge for keynotes, because it's super nice sometimes to get the visibility, but it's a hard work. You're sharing your knowledge, expertise, but to get to a level when you can actually charge for this, it's 1-2 years of continuous work. It doesn't mean that you need to do it in 24/7, but you really need to build it up from small event, medium event, share your references. This so also really needs to be a strategy work. It's not happening by luck or by default. And the last example that we are bringing is the consulting or coaching, which again seems easy money, because to really get there and to really provide a very value-packed session where you can really read the mind of the counterpart who really needs your guidance or help, you need a lot of sometimes education, practice, dry runs, methods, continuous learning, pushing yourself to always be on top of the latest, greatest. It's also a 5-10 hours of weekly effort. It really needs to be designed. It's not something which happens by luck. So what we share it with you is actually a result of 2 years of research. I started it at the beginning of my MBA studies. And why we show it to you, because these are all the elements, the puzzle pieces, I would say, to get to a position when you can cherry pick from your portfolio career and master all the skills, get to all the masteries that you really have to. The reason why we are called IX3, first, because it's cool, and second, because it's short for the intent, influence, and impact. I also had tons of research interviews with senior leaders when I was doing my thesis, and I really tried to synthesize the steps and the pieces of how the magic happens, that someone is really good in this corporate influencer, corporate ambassador game, and how do they use these tiny pieces to get to a thought leader, an ambassador, a keynote speaker, board member. And it all starts with the intent. Every single one of these leaders really had their very hard struggles at the beginning. They needed to get familiarized with the creator mindset. They needed to get really clear with their purpose. Sometimes when you're falling off the horse, it's because you didn't set the right direction. You need to get back to this. You need to try again things. The strategy goal settings is also something which sometimes it seems like a nice to have. But if you really don't have this North Star that really guides you through this direction, then it's just simply not going to happen. First, you need to have a rock solid intent in the intent phase. Then once we move to influence, we are very clear about what we want, why we want, and how to want. That's going to move to the influence phase itself. And the impact, actually, when you are the board member, the keynote speaker, the book author, the digital product owner, it happens only in the impact phase. The reason why we already brought the impact, so what's the size of the price? This is kind of the North Star, because it really does take these 6 months to 2 years to get there. What is going to happen, and it's not the sales pitch, because we are content creators, but we will create content and we will share a lot of free content during this discovery to help people, guide them through all of these pillars, give them a ton of learnings, also very digestible, I need to highlight that, but academic research as well. So what is happening out there, what the current science says, also behavior science, for example. We dug a lot to psychology, work psychology especially, to try to understand how these pieces evolve, how human nature evolves, and what are the actionable tools, keys to help you to get to a mindset or to an actionable plan, roadmap for yourself, not in half a year, but in 15 minutes. So what is going to happen that this year we are going to dig to these single pieces and going to make sure that the content we anyhow create are going to help our audience with that fun, and we will share it both on YouTube and on LinkedIn. But if you want more guidance, or if you want to be more involved toward day-to-day, or even help us to prioritize what content piece we should prioritize, we do have actually a community, the IXC community, which is in school, and we do have weekly fire chats or discussions, and we still have some limited places should you want to consider that you need for day-to-day support as well. So we decided to boost our gift section as well. Should you register or already registered to our ixtrip.pro newsletter, we are going to share with you 3 things. You already have the video for the fashion planner, so the 3 actionable tools you can use yourself to try to map your own ikigai, your own fashion economy sweet spot. But we also developed a very nice blueprint playbook, 10 something pages, and it really walks you through step by step how to do your own ideation, how to create your own plans as well. We also have a checklist that you can use for LinkedIn success. So what are the things you need to apply on your profile, with your mindset, with your routine, with your support network. And the third one is the LinkedIn About section playbook, which is again providing 5 storytelling technique. I think that's the art of getting noticed or being noticed on LinkedIn. How can you tell the story? But it's also the biggest struggle that we hear a lot from our clients, from our friends as well, that how can I tell the story in a way that is credible, it represents the seniority that you do have, and it is also something that you can proudly share with your network as well. So should you not be part of our newsletter pool, please subscribe. And if you are, then we are going to share it with you very soon as well. So if there's no question, then thank you so much. Much appreciated that you joined us.
I think they're digesting what we've just shared, which is a lot. So
someone already subscribed. Yeah, they're reacting. Yay.
thank you, Fadia. Thank
you so much, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.